Hey everybody, thanks for joining us tonight. This is the Penn State World Campus Technology Club, and tonight we have Micah Hoffman with how to move past just Googling it, harvesting and using OSINT. So thanks for joining us tonight, Micah, and you can take it from there.
Terrific. Thanks for having me. I appreciate everybody coming and spending some time on this Wednesday night. Um, I want this to be interactive. I want to answer your questions about open source intelligence or cyber or whatever it is. So if you have questions, throw them in the chat, and at the end, I'll leave some room for us to talk about them. All right. Let's go ahead and get into moving past Googling it. Now, if you're somebody that's been around the internet for a long time, you'll recognize that the internet has changed. Fundamentally, it has changed. In the old days, websites used to look like what we see on the left-hand side there, where we would have HTML and hypertext links, and that was it. There were no images. There was no streaming content. It was that way, and we liked it. Nowadays, though, you know about mobile devices and all of the rich internet data that we can share from our devices and retrieve to see what's happening right this second. And like we can see on the right hand side with the Google Maps, we can see not only what the roads are, but we can see traffic. We can get where the latest coffee, where the closest coffee house is. We can even see what other people thought about those places. All of this is incredible if you think about what it does and how it does it. And for open source intelligence, it means that we have a really target rich environment because these mobile devices and people around the world are sharing data and pushing it up to the internet. Yeah, you might know some of these people. You probably aren't these people, but you know them. The time when you go out to like a restaurant, when we could go back to restaurants, you go to a restaurant and they would order their food and their food would get here and they take a picture of their food. They have one bite, they take another picture and they send it up to some social media platform, sharing every little bit of their lives. Now, sometimes this information, this social media information, was information about their food or where they were or who they were with or what they were doing. And sometimes people like you and me got caught up in other people's social media posts. Some of you might not even have social media or might only have social media on one or two platforms and not the plethora of platforms that are out there right now. But even if you don't have a Facebook account, you don't have an Instagram or VK account, you still might be on those platforms. Because when you're out there just walking around whatever city you're at, somebody else is taking a selfie. And when they're taking a selfie, you might be in the background. And now with facial recognition, what it is, it's amazing what people can do with images and what platforms are doing, marking who was at what location just by your image. Now, your image might appear in other documents out there on the internet. Sometimes they're documents that are about us. So not data we're specifically sharing, but data that is about activities that we're in. For instance, some of you might belong to a church, a temple, a mosque, a boys club, girls club, whatever. Those types of organizations many times will have newsletters that are released weekly or monthly. And do they email them out? No, of course not. This is 2020. You can't email out those things anymore. You just post them on the website. Yeah, that'll be fine. Not only do you post the most recent one on the website, but you post all of them on there and you organize them by year and month so that if anybody needs the newsletter from 2013, it's up on the website. That's great for your members of your whatever organization, but it's also a tremendous amount of privacy that is lost by for your congregants, for the members of your organization, because what we can do is download all of those documents en masse using some tools that I'll talk about later. Download them all and then search through it for things like birth of, death of, phone number, or phone number regular expressions and other things. And we can extract that information out in minutes. And sometimes the content of these newsletters is revealing in and of itself. You ever see a newsletter that looks like this, where they're showing, hey, look, this is our first grade class, or ooh, these are missionaries that went over here and did these things. And there's pictures and there's names. All of it is shared with people around the world. Now, the internet has changed. I think you recognize that, and I think you'll agree with me in that. But it's changed beyond just now we have more rich content out there. It's changed so that you can't even believe your eyes anymore. We have this thing where people are lying on social media. Yeah, people aren't telling the truth on the internet. Did you know that? Hmm. Well, we know that on social media, especially dating sites and, well, honestly, any social media platform, people may spew lies and mistruths and disinformation. But now it's gotten to the point where even if we're fact checking what we read, the videos, the images, they might be misleading in and of themselves. Take, for example, the picture of this child on the left. If you saw that as somebody's, oh, I don't know, profile pic, or their, the picture of their child, they're like, oh, little Bobby was at the beach. This is a picture. And they put it up on their social media. You'd probably look at that and go, yeah, great. And you'd keep on scrolling, right? But that picture on the left is not a real person. That person has never ever existed. In fact, that picture and all of the other ones that you'll see if you go to thispersondoesnotexist.com are created by computers using machine learning. Yeah, they tell one set of computers what a human face looks like and what a human head looks like. And then those computers spew out a whole bunch of models, and then other computers in this generative adversarial network, they look at those models and go, yeah, that's a human. Yeah, we can promote that. That doesn't look like one. And they reject it. And what we see whenever we refresh the page on this person does not exist is we see the results of those models, and they're getting quite good. There, in the old days, there used to be artifacts. People would have like missing teeth, or their eyes, there would be blurring things around there, but they're getting better, and they'll continue to get better, such that you'll see a picture and you'll go, I don't know, that might be a real person, it might not be. And I'll bet if you were to look at your social media platforms, whether it's Twitter or Reddit or Facebook or whatever, I bet you'll see pictures much like the one over here, where there's a blurry background, the eyes are in the middle of the page, and you'll know that that's not a real person. Now, it's not just the pictures that are troubling nowadays, it's the videos too. I'll bet some of you have seen this Jordan Peele mashup, or I'm sorry, this Jordan Peele deep fake. Jordan Peele's the actor, part of Key and Peele, and he does a great impression of Obama. And what he's done, along with some other people, is he's literally put words in this video of Obama, such that Obama's mouth is synchronized to Jordan Peele's words. So he could say whatever he wants, and then they edit this video so that Obama looks like he's saying exactly what Jordan Peele has said. It's terrifying when you think about the implications of this, that videos that we're watching might not actually be real. Images might not actually be real as well. In the old days, if you wanted to see what I was eating, who I was eating it with, where I bought my food, what I was throwing out, you had to dumpster dive. You had to go through the trash at my house. But nowadays, oh my gosh, it is so easy to find information about people online. And that's my presentation. Thanks for coming, everybody. Now, seriously, just a little warm up about why this is so important. We have a huge amount of data going to the internet every single minute, and it stays up there, and some of it, much of it, is not protected. And this allows people to search for things to answer questions that they have, whether you're trying to find a missing person or trying to identify the adversary who attacked a web server. Each of these questions and more can be answered using open source intelligence. But just a little bit about me. I am an OSINT consultant. I do open source intelligence. I find things about people, about places, about things Yeah, all those nouns. I find information on the internet and then I answer my customers' questions. Whether it's did my spouse cheat on me, or hey, where was Bobby when he said he was laid up in bed? Was he out golfing or whatever? We can find this stuff and more. I also wrote a class for the SANS Institute. It's called Sec 47. It's all about OSINT. And I am one of the founding members of the OSINT and the current president of OSINT Curious Project, which I'm hoping Ray did her job and has been promoting this for within your group here.
I do my best.
Okay, thank you, Ray. Um, I also have a really interesting past, and I'm not going to bore you with it or anything, but I'm on like my fourth or fifth career now. My undergraduate degree is in psychology, and I think later on in the presentation you're going to see how understanding the human condition and open source intelligence really go hand in hand as I share some of the different paths that we can take. Also, in social media, you can see me at Web Breacher. Now, I didn't want to just show you all of these slides and bore you with that. I figured that the best way to do kind of the what is open source intelligence is by showing you live demos. Now, there's risk here, right? Um, you know that doing live demos, one, they can fail, and two, things might show up that I have no idea are there. If something I did this presentation one time and some risky stuff showed up on the risque stuff showed up in one of the social media platforms I went to. So if something does happen like that, I will go ahead and close the window really quickly and Ray will edit it out of the recording. But I want to show you some of the more interesting things about open source intelligence and show you that the more you know about the world in general, not just about open source intelligence, but how the world of the web works, how websites work, how people interact with their environment, the more you understand that stuff, the more effective you can be about using the internet. And I want to show you, yeah, thank you, Dylan. We're all adults, right? Actually, I gave this presentation to a bunch of high schoolers, and at one point I'm like, yeah, we're all adult. Oh, no, no, we're not. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the websites that are going to be important to us. Now, I've got a whole bunch of them here. We're going to go and do like a highlight reel of really neat things that you can do in open source intelligence. The stuff that we can do, whether you're researching a domain or IP, or whether you're watching people drink beer or whatever, is kind of fun. I think it's interesting to see where the data leads us. I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm doing a talk next week at the Layer 8 conference, like Ray is doing, and the talk I'm doing is about the well, I downloaded all of the GitHub users using valid calls to GitHub's API. I downloaded 39 million records, and um, that is something that I'm going to present on next week. And I'm looking at the data, and it's amazing the kinds of fun things that are in there. So I'm going to show you, first off, how you do a little bit of OSINT, and then I'm going to show you just a bunch of different techniques to do some really fun things. And for most of what I'm doing here, it's free. There's one piece, two pieces that require a little bit of money, but I'll show you that, okay? All right, so the first thing is we have the OSINT Curious website. Obviously, this is a very important place for people that want to do OSINT because people like Ray, myself, Dutch OSINT Guy, Technozet, and other people write really good blog posts. And we have these things called 10-minute tips, which Ray's probably already told you about. These 10-minute tips talk about a lot of the different things that are going to be gone over in this talk. Also, I'll just bring up my site, webreacher.com. This post right over here, the 2020 May Sans at Mike moving past Google it. It's a companion post and it has a video that's going to be very similar to this one, a little bit different. But here's all of the links that we're going to be going through today. Okay, so if you have questions, go to webbreacher.com and hit the very first blog post, and you'll have everything that I have. So the first thing that you have to know is where to find all the good stuff. And for that, I'm going to bring up a website here called OSINTframework.de. OSINTframework.com is another website out there that you might already know about. It's made by Justin Nordine, really nice guy. And I'm finding that Justin hasn't been updating his site as frequently as other people have. Here we have a man named Bruno Mortier over in Europe. He updates this site very regularly, and it's a website of bookmarks. That's it. No magic, nothing special. He's just categorized the bookmarks to be in an organized the way that he thinks they should be. So if you want to learn more about Google and Bing, you go down and you click those links, and those are going to just take you to other people's websites. It's not like a blog, it's just links to other websites. The one reason why I say this, osintframework.de, is the main place you should go to. It will redirect you to, you're probably looking at the URL going, that doesn't say osintframework.de, Micah. No, osintframework.de redirects people to this Start Me page, which is Bruno Mortier's site. The reason why I say this is a good site for you to start out all of your OSINT adventures on is that not only does he have links to everything from geo-intelligence and personal infrastructure to image intelligence and other stuff, but if you scroll down here in the middle section, you see these OSINT frameworks and resources. We've got things like the OSINT framework by Justin Nordine and a huge number of other sites that are similar to this, where it's a bunch of links that are organized and well categorized. So if there's one site to remember, osintframework.de, because that'll get you everything else. Yeah, Floofy, you're absolutely right. Buscador is obsolete. It's not obsolete, it's no longer maintained. But that doesn't mean that it can't be used, especially for people that don't have a high Linux skill. If they want something that's pre-installed, Buscador might provide them a good platform to go ahead and start their learning. This talk is called Moving Beyond Googling It. When I tell people that I do open source intelligence, the first thing they say is, oh, you mean that fancy Googling stuff? Yeah, we use fancy Googling. We definitely do. And we also use Bing, DuckDuckGo, Yandex, and other search engines. But a lot of the information on the internet is not categorized in our search engines. By roughly 8 to 12% of the computers that are on the internet are indexed by Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, Yandex, and other search engines. 8 to 12%. That means that there's a huge amount of other information out there that aren't in these search engines. And one of the main reasons why they're not there is this little file called robots.txt. Now, for those of you that don't know what robots.txt is, it's essentially the web server administrator saying, hey, Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, don't scan things in these parts of my site. Maybe there's ads, maybe there's sensitive information there, and they don't want that indexed on Google or Bing or DuckDuckGo. So what they do is they put a little file called robots.txt, and you see that here. I've gone to cnn.com/robots.txt. You can add the robots.txt to anything. I wanted to try out Penn State. Let's just see. Penn State, there we go, psu.edu. Let's just see. I don't even know if this one, robots.txt. Look at that. Now, you can just add on this robots.txt file and you'll learn the sites that the places in the website that the administrator does not want to be indexed in search engines. So if you were to Google Penn State or PSU something, what are you not going to find? You're not going to find stuff that is in the /pro files, or you're not going to find these files, which you shouldn't even be on servers, much less be indexed. You won't find the /admin directory. Ooh, that's interesting. Now, why does this matter? Well, the reason is that on some websites, the robots.txt file, which shows what should not be indexed, gives you an inclination about what might be there. For instance, CNN.com here. CNN.com, they have this robots.txt file, and it says all the spiders, all the user agents, any Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, Yandex, you are disallowed from going into the /ads directory. All right, I don't want to index CNN's ads anyway. But did you know that there's a beta directory on CNN? Yeah. Or a /AOL directory? Yeah, you remember America Online? Some of you do, I'm sure. America Online. Now, this is an interesting part, and something about what we learn in open source intelligence is that everything on the internet is not intentionally misleading. It just might be old and outdated information. For instance, that /AOL directory that's in there, that might have been put in the robots.txt file for CNN way back in the 1980s and 90s. And there was just nobody that said, take it out. So it stays there. So there might not actually be a /AOL directory on CNN.com right now. We might just be seeing legacy information. But the /beta directory, that might show you new features that are coming or new whatevers. Beta news. Y'all might know this site called Apple. Yeah. One of the things that's interesting about Apple's robots.txt file is it shows us why we need to use multiple search engines when we do our work. You probably have your favorite search engine, whether it's Google or DuckDuckGo or whatever it is. That's the one that you use most often. And that's cool. Hey, everybody's got a favorite. But I'll tell you this, if you're only searching with that and you're looking to really dig down into some topic, you might be missing out. Here's why. Take a look at this. If we read this Apple robots.txt, it says all web spiders cannot go into any of these directories and index them. Okay, cool. But if we scroll down, it specifically calls out other spiders and says, hey, Baidu spider, you can't go into these directories. So if you're over in Asia and you love using Baidu, which is an Asian search engine, and you're searching for things on apple.com's website, guess what you're not going to see? Stuff in this directory or these directories. Stuff that you might be able to see if you use Google, DuckDuckGo, Yandex, or even Bing. Yeah, and if you scroll down even further, we see another spider from Asia. So search engines in Asia are not going to have as much information as other search engines will within Apple's website. Interesting, right? Yeah. So we use multiple search engines whenever we're doing work to get different perspectives, and because sometimes they have at different levels of access to get into different websites. Now, the last thing here, and I'll just go ahead and throw this in real quick, is sometimes the people that are making these robots.txt files, like the one here at Cisco, these people have to annotate why things are the way that they are. So why this is important to us is that, well, you can learn stuff just by reading. So if you look here, we see, okay, Cisco Googlebot Enterprise is disallowed from going in the bug navigator, which has bug data. It can't go in the CGI bin because allow test crawls for tax support client, whatever the heck that is. But if we look a little farther down, it says don't go in /jobs, because when the Cisco Googlebot Enterprise goes in there and scans, there's a performance team issue. So if we scan the /jobs directory, there might be a performance issue? Isn't this how we can get like a denial of service? If we just read this file, sometimes we can get interesting information that could help us in attacks or whatever it is that we're trying to do. Many times it's divulged openly to anybody that can read it. Now, that's why this is called moving beyond Googling. Because honestly, not everything's in Google or Bing or DuckDuckGo. In fact, a lot of the social media stuff is not indexed. There is a fair amount that is indexed in these search engines, but things like Snap Map, that is just not indexed in in Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo. Now, I randomly picked this area of Pennsylvania. I don't know if you've heard of this area, but I randomly picked this area of the United States to go ahead and take a look at what's happening on Snap. Some of you probably know a lot more about Snap than I do, but just for those of you that don't know what Snapchat is where I take a picture or do a little movie and then I send it to Ray. And after Ray looks at it, about 10 seconds later, that message gets deleted. But users can also share things to their stories. And a story can be geolocated to a certain area and can stay on for about 24 hours or so. And what we can do as an unauthenticated user without an account is go to map.snapchat.com. Go anywhere in the world and you'll see these little heat maps. Like here, this is something where it doesn't look like there's a lot of activity. The more activity that's there, the more red an area will be. Here we're blue. That's pretty light. Let's take a look at what this is and see what it is. All right. Somebody's gone to State College and they're doing the walk. Not a big deal when you're talking about this stuff, but let's go ahead and zoom out and let's find a place that's redder. Altoona. Oh yeah. No, that's not good. Hang on. Let's go to Paris. Yeah, let's go to the Eiffel Tower. Let's try that. I don't know what they're doing in the Eiffel Tower today, but it's pretty red there, right? Now, what we can do with Snap and these types of images is we can do remote reconnaissance. If there's a riot, if there's some kind of protest, if there's a natural disaster, we can get firsthand accounts of live streaming images or up to 24-hour-old images about what's going on. But the other neat thing is here we can see the license plate of that vehicle, right? There you go, WW905JX. When you see a license plate in Google Maps, in Google Street View, what does it do? Yeah, Google Maps and Google Street View, it filters those things out, it blurs them. But here in Snap, we can get pictures inside of different places. And as Mr. F mentions here in the chat, yeah, there are schools that have publicly accessible IP cameras. All right, let's go rogue since you're talking about that. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of those. Insacam.com. Insacam.com is a great site for looking at those types of things that Mr. Ray brought up. And these are live streaming cameras that are anywhere in the world. And these cameras are in amazing places. I was watching, one, they're categorized by location. And two, they're also categorized by, I think, what type of camera it is. Like this is in Spain. Here's a camera in Austria. And you can just come up here and select by country, manufacturer, and drill down to whatever you want. I was watching one in Moscow, and it was a picture of a security camera focusing on like the kitchen prep area within a restaurant. It was just a security camera. And I was watching a woman chopping fish and chopping fish and chopping fish, and some of the fish went on the floor. And she looked left, she looked right, she picked it up, and she was chopping fish again. So don't eat fish in Moscow. That's my lesson to you. But there was other stuff. I mean, I was watching one time a camera from here, and it was in a library in Japan. And it had pan, tilt, and zoom, so I could move the camera. I did not log in. I just visited the camera, and it allowed me to do all this. And I zoomed in on somebody's laptop screen. Now, I can't read Japanese, but I could see what was on his screen. And it was very interesting at that point in time. Now, the other things that people are mentioning, like Shodan.io. Shodan's good for finding things, but keep in mind that Shodan's location and things like Camerca, which is a program that finds IP-connected cameras through Shodan, that is localized and geolocated based upon the IP address, which is not very good at all. It can give you a region of the world, perhaps, but it's not very accurate at all. So be careful. These and worldcam.eu, another good website. Cool. So people are sharing stuff inside of organizations where they shouldn't be shared. If we drop that Snapchat on NSA, on the White House. Will we see people snapping inside of the White House gates? Maybe. I don't know. But people do that. They bring their phones. They say, oh, today's my first day. I'm so happy. And they take these snaps, they post it online, and they don't realize that they've just taken pictures of the cameras, of the security devices, of people's badges. And those are security issues that we need to take care of. One of the other things that we do within open source intelligence is we do a lot of name searching, username searches. In fact, I know that Ray just made a 10-minute tip for us that takes a blog post that Laurent Bodo made and shows you how to use some of these tools. So she's an expert on this. I just want to show you one quick tool, and that's the What's My Name project at whatsmyname.app. You might already know about this tool, but it's super simple to use. So you go to whatsmyname.app, you type in whatever username. I like Fuzzy Bunny. Why? I don't know, just fun to say. You click on that, and then what happens is from my computer here, where I am, actually through my VPN, my system is making 194, 192 requests out to different websites going, do you have Fuzzy Bunny? Do you have Fuzzy Bunny 123? Do you have Fuzzy Bunny 123? And then getting those responses back. And then if it does, then it will give you this little green screen here. If it doesn't, it will give you a red box. Now, the interesting thing is something that somebody has mentioned in the chat there. Adam, yes, you are somebody that is very observant. And I like that because one of the things that this site does is it does check porn sites and not sexually deviant site, but sex sites. Because here's the thing. When we are researching a person, whether it's a CEO or a professor or whomever, if they're using the same username on Twitter and Instagram that they're using on some porn site to note about some things over there, we'd want to know that because that presents risk to our customers, to our clients, and we can say, hey, don't use the same account name. And so this site will make requests to porn sites and other sites from your computer. So if you are inside of a corporate environment, you are at school and they don't allow you to do this, be careful. The way that you can get around it is by, instead of selecting all, just select these individual categories and don't select the porn one at the bottom. Or you can just do the porn, whatever you want. But the idea here is that you get a very quick read on all these different sites. Now, the only sites that they're checking and we're checking here are ones that have the username in the URL. Twitter.com/webbreacher, Instagram.com/webbreacher. Webbreacher is my name. It goes in the URL. Other ones like Fitbit and other things where your username does not appear in the URL doesn't work here and on many of these other tools that are out there. All right. So usernames we're doing, hang on. Yeah, okay. I'm just looking at the chat and I regret it. So some of you might have seen this article by Bellingcat. Has anybody seen this? Give me a little thumbs up in the chat. I don't even know if you can do thumbs ups in the chat. I'm thinking about Slack, but so this organization called Bellingcat just wrote this report saying, hey, you can find service people and intelligence people that are drinking beer on Untapped website. Now, for those of you that don't use Untapped, what it is essentially I buy myself a beer and then, or somebody else buys me a beer. I take a picture of it. I maybe drink some of it. Who knows? And then I say, oh, this has hints of oats and honey and I love it and 5 stars. And I'm drinking it on at this place with these people at this date and time. And I send that drinking data up to the Untapped website. Well, sometimes when people are taking pictures, they're taking pictures of their desk, and their desk might have sensitive documents like top secret documents or other things on there. They found that in this article. Now, I've been talking about this stuff since 2016, I think 2016. And I just want to show you some of the cool stuff that you can do. Again, open source intelligence isn't just finding people with emails, finding people with phone numbers and stuff like that. It can be interesting. It can be fun. So let's look at some beer drinkers. Now, does anybody have untapped username that they want to use? They want me to run through this? You can trust me. This is being recorded, but you can trust me. Just put in, yeah, be brave. Fuzzy Bunny 123. Thanks, Adam. Not gonna do it. That's mine. No, it isn't mine. All right, we'll just find somebody since nobody's gonna be brave. I wonder if Ray Baker is one. Nah, we'll just go ahead. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm just gonna pull up a random brewery. Ta-da, Trillium. Oh, let's go to England. Verdant. So this is what it looks like. I am not authenticated here. Hang on one sec. I'm not authenticated. I'm just going ahead and visiting this website. So here what we see is the activity of people, like Russell B is drinking whatever at this about an hour ago, and Dominic S is drinking something. And let's take a look at those profiles real quick. All right, so Russell B has logged 600 total beers. And I say logged and not drank because this is social media. I have no idea if this person actually drank any of those beers that they really precisely lined up and took pictures of. In fact, this one actually says beer. Huh, interesting. Let's look at Dominic. Ooh, Dominic has 4,000 beers that they logged. Let's look into Dominic. Now, when I was watching Twitter a little while ago, I was watching a SANS instructor named Phil Hagen, and he actually has an untapped account. He loves going around the world for SANS, teaching people and drinking beer. What could be better, right? What I would see is that in his Twitter account, he would get these badges and be like, hey, drank the most loggers in Pittsburgh or whatever. I'm like, why are you telling me your drinking behavior? And he said the worst thing that he could ever say to me. It's like, what's the worst somebody could do? Challenge accepted. So I had a lot of time free, and I decided to show that because honestly, within cyber, within OSINT, one of the main things we need to do is show people why their actions are really meaningful. So I made a script. Now, what the script does is, as an unauthenticated user, is it goes out to this website and will harvest data and analyze it. And what I did is I took that and I made a Python script. And if you want that, cool, I can give that to you. But then a couple of buddies of mine, Brandon and I forgot the other guy's name. They webified it. So we don't even have to launch a Python script. All we do is we copy this username like Sid Slim here, copy that, and we go to Brandon's website here, the Untapped Scraper, paste that in, and we hit scrape. Now what this does is it's making web calls from my computer out to Untapped, grabbing all that information about what beers he drank, when he drank them, where he drank them, who he drank it with, and because I've filled in this section right here, see these dots? That's an API key over to Google. And Google is going to help me geolocate where this person drinks. Watch. So we see here, 4,308 beers. We saw that on the intro on his profile page. And then we have the recent activity. These are the beers that he drank most recently. These are the places where he drank. Let's see, sort it by check-ins. Oh, Untapped at home. Okay, so he's drinking from home. But before that, he drank here and there and there and there. Huh. And because I have a Google key, which does cost just a little bit of money, I've got the latitudes and longitudes that go with these different locations. So let's see, as we scroll down, we get other information like what beers he drinks. Okay. And then if you were going to actually tell me where you think this user lived, I bet you could probably do that pretty well here just by looking at this map. See, what it does is it goes ahead and maps the different latitudes and longitudes where this person has said they drank. And if we scroll in further, see this area here that's got a lot over at the Royal Observatory, and right in this area, you see 5 different pubs or bars. that they drank at. Interesting, right? Let me show you something a little bit more, impressive. This is a guy that I use in my demos a lot, a guy named Mogford. Yeah, geocode for home. I think that's over in the United States, Adam. It's not I mean, my home's in the United States, but I think the untapped at home geolocates to the United States. So this is another user that I've done research on, and he's got 6,900 beers. And let's see where this person lives. Let's see, if we zoom out. All right, so just within the United States and Central America, see a very bright spot over here, South Carolina, Washington. Oh, and each one of these things tells me how many beers they drank at that location. Now, the neat thing about Mogford is that he logs his beers in places like hotel bars and restaurants. Let me think about this. And actually, I'll tell you about a conversation that I had with one of my students. So I showed this tool in class, and one of my students said, so, okay, you can track a person around the world with this, but can you just watch one bar and see who drinks at it? It's like, yeah, I guess. He said, well, there's a bar right across the street from the classified facility that I work at, or the sensitive location that I work at. And every day at 5 o'clock, we clock out, walk across the street, and grab some brews. So could you create patterns of life? Hey, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, this person, that person, that person are at the exact same bar. And I thought, yeah, I can do that. So I created another tool. Now, this tool has impressive output. It's an Excel spreadsheet. Well, it's really a CSV. But here's the deal. I started thinking about what are places around the world where people drink. And I thought airports. Airports are where people drink. So I started monitoring airports for about the last 5 months, almost 6 months now. Since November of 2019, I've been watching about 70 different airports around the world. And whenever anybody drinks at one of them and logs a drink there, my little app here records that in a database. And what I can do is see people like, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, a goalie girl. There we go. A goalie girl in January. A goalie girl went from San Jose, California to Irving, Texas. And then she also drank in Irving, Texas. Let's go down to Mogford and see what his stuff looks like. So Mogford, you can see now, Adam, you said he might be a salesperson. He might be a salesperson, or he could be a pilot, or he could be, anybody that does travel and stuff. So here we see Mogford log beers at Boston, then Salt Lake, then Atlanta, then Charlotte, then Orlando. This is a person that travels a lot and hits a lot of different airports, if we can believe the information here. And what we can see is, we can actually pretty much figure out where they are. See, we can go down here to, let's see, the last airport that they were at was Miami International. Well, let's go back over here and let's put in Mogford and just look at recent activity. Goat Island, fail. Well, let's try it here, hang on. Let's do Python 3, untapped, -u, Mogford, recent. Is it gonna show me the same thing? Let's see. Yep, same thing. So let's just do all of it. We'll see. So this is the Python version of the script, and you can also see it's doing all of the lookups and stuff like that. But it also analyzes the hour of the day of the week, the day and the month, and the day of the month when this person drinks as well. And yeah, Adam, you caught it. Because this user logged more than 5 beers on certain days, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, they may be a binge drinker. Yeah, it's a little feature I added. But take it out. We've got histograms for drinking patterns. The last 25 beers are publicly available. And we can see that, whoa, they are in a 6 p.m. till 11 p.m. drinker. Okay, this is localized to the person since it's on their phone. What if this showed a 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. drinker and your boss knew that this was here? Or, well, heck, if it was just a 9 a.m. drinker, that might be interesting, right? Um, so let's just see if I can pull up somebody else's here. A group of chickens. Nope, District 12. I think we're getting into the problem that this is, let's do Mooney Flyer. One of the problems that we're having is that people have been home too much and they haven't been drinking out of the house, untapped at home. Yeah. What I used to be able to do when people actually traveled was we could look at what airport they stopped drinking at, and then we could go here and we could see that this person drank at the Hilton in Denver or at a restaurant, and then we could map where that restaurant was and we could see exactly where they were staying or working or whatever. All right, so I have just a little bit more time here and I want to get back to our talk. So that's Untapped. I think Untapped is really, really neat. Now I'm going to let you choose the next portion. We can go into breach data or we can go into Whois data and visualization. So Whois or breach? Go ahead and just put it into the chat what you want. You have 10 seconds. Breach or Whois? Breach, Whois. All right, I'm seeing it's 50-50, isn't it? Yeah. Anybody else? Breach. All right, I'm counting more breaches. Oh, there's the Whois. Darn it. Wait, Adam, you're Adam, you're voting more than once. All right, we're doing Whois just to penalize Adam for voting more than once. Haha. Wait, did I say Whois or breach? Yeah, we're doing, oh, whatever. We'll just do them both. So let's start out with breach data. Breach data is important to us because it divulges information. It shows us information we shouldn't have access to. Breach data is when somebody breaks into a website, steals all of the data, and releases it to the internet. Other people grab that data and parse through it and pull out names and emails, addresses, and passwords. And then they do something with that. Some people will log into other websites or whatever. The Have I Been Pwned website is a great free website that you can use to go ahead and access a whole bunch of breaches that have been normalized in this. If I go ahead and search for my email address, what? It could be my email. Don't judge me. You see that this email, obama@whitehouse.gov, was found on 31 breach sites and 33 pastes on like Paceman. Now, the problem with Have I Been Pwned from our perspective as an OSINTer is that it just tells me, hey, this has been seen in like the Dub Smash and Dropbox breach, but it doesn't tell me what the data was. It doesn't tell me what the password was or anything. And that's where some paid tools come into play. Actually, that's where some tools that you can actually do this without paid tools. Huh, let's do that. intelx.io. So there's a website. I'll give you guys some extra stuff. There's a website called intelx.io. If we do Obama at whitehouse.gov, and we search, IntelX captures all those breach data and the data that's been released from breaches and pastes and other things and allows you to search it. Now, if you have a paid account, they give you access to everything. If you have a free account or anonymous like I'm doing, then you have access to some of it. For instance, here in this collection 1, we can click here, and then when this loads, Obama. So what they've done here is they've grabbed the breach data and then they've normalized it so that anybody can search it. And then Obama, there we go. Oh, Obama's password was password. How disappointing is that? But this is what people do. They grab that or they grab one of these other ones and then they take that username or the email address and the password and they try it on Instagram and on Twitter and other places trying to log in and then they take over your account. State is out here. I didn't have to log in for any of this. But let me show you something else that's pretty fun. This is a website that I actually do pay for, and here's an ethical question for you, right? Yeah, Floofy, RockU's okay. It's really old and really, really simple. There's so many more password breaches that you can grab data from. In fact, on Have I Been Pwned, when they get a breach, they take the email address and the password off. You can download all 500 million passwords that they've seen in these breaches. Some of them, many of them, don't contain English characters. Now, I don't know if Dhash went up in price. I bought it for a year, and so I don't have to worry about it. But here's the deal. I can pay access to this site, which does exactly the same thing that the last site, the intelx.io site does, but it does it in a little different manner. Like here, Obama. Ah, darn you, Cloudflare. Cloudflare thinks I'm being suspicious. I'm using a VPN. All right, there we go. Let's do our Obama now. All right, so it found 62 results. Now, unlike Have I Been Pwned, if I click on these, since I'm logged in, it gives me passwords. Now, here we see in the collections data, his password was seen as 123456. Here's another one. Now, are these actually Obama's passwords? Probably not. They probably are for sites that didn't do email verification to make sure that when somebody signed up with the Obama at whitehouse.gov account, it actually was Obama at whitehouse.gov. They just didn't verify. You know how I know? Let's look at the data. Let's search for whitehouse.gov and search for Dropbox. Here we go. Remember Obama's password in the Dropbox? Yeah. All right, now some of you are smart people are very cyber savvy. You know what the fastest way to crack a password hash is? Fastest way to crack a password hash. What do you think? Throw it in the chat. DuckDuckGo it. Adam, you are amazing. Yes, Google it. Not rainbow tables or anything like that. We can just take the password hash, throw it in here, and sometimes it'll tell us that somebody's already cracked it for us. In this case, it just points to the Paceman post that has this hashed password. Now, this hashed password on Dropbox, they don't store passwords in clear text, which is good. That's good security. What we tell users to do all the time is create long and strong passwords, right? Ones that are really hard to remember, like horse, battery, stapler, or whatever, because those are hard to break. But what also it does happens is that when people create these long passwords, it's hard to remember them. So they use that same password on other sites. You know how I know? Because we can see that. This hashed password right here is not crackable. I mean, it might be crackable, but we haven't seen it cracked. But we don't necessarily need to find other accounts that have used it. All we do is take this, throw it up into the search bar, and now we have other accounts, 23 of them, that have that exact same password hash. Interesting, right? And you look, they're all on Dropbox. Now, some of these are starting to look weird, like this second one here, GY whatever. It looks like somebody just pounded on the keyboard. And I think you'll see as we go down farther and farther, like Bruce Willis at Hollywood.com and last name at mail.com. And there's Obama, and there's Hannibal at Cannibal.com. Somebody's really effing with Dropbox here, right? They're throwing a name in there, using their super secret password, probably filling up the 2 gigs of space. And then when there's 2 gigs of free space is filled up, they create another account with that same password. And using the password, we can tie all those people together. Interesting, right? But there's one more thing I want to show you. I only speak one word of Russian, and that is the word for password. It's parole. In fact, we'll make a password that's really secure. password space password, parole, parole in Russian. The reason is I want to show you that these, oh, I don't even know what that is. Hang on, copy. The information in these databases is not US focused. It's not even English. We can search for parole, parole in Cyrillic. And if we do that, we should see top level domains for .ru. Sure. Oh, this person's really secure. Look at that. Parole, 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 parole with capital, whatever the P sound is. Really cool, right? Yeah. So the information in here is from people all around the world that make dumb passwords just like you and I do. So that's interesting. Ray, do I have like 5 more minutes?
You can go as long as you want.
Yes. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at Whois information. I'll give you the abbreviated version. All right. Let's see, if the site salts the passwords, does that make it harder to link them? Absolutely. How about this, Adam? If the site salts the passwords and has good security so that those passwords don't get stolen, it actually makes it really hard. But yeah, if the passwords are salted, then we're not going to see them correct, and they will be unique. Every hash should be unique, so we won't be able to tie them together. But the majority of the passwords in these breaches are either cracked or they are non-salted hashes. So let's talk about registering a domain. We're going to shift from users and passwords and breach data to DNS. When you register, not DNS, to Whois. When you register a domain, as some of you probably have, you have to enter in certain information to a registrar. You enter your name, your address, your phone number, your email, in case your domain is doing something suspicious, or in case you are hosting malware on your site accidentally. The registrar needs to let you know, hey, you got a problem. That information used to be retrievable very simply using the Whois system. We would on the command line type in whois psu.edu, and it would give us the name, address, phone number, email address of whoever's information appears in the contact records in the Whois database. This is internationally. It was amazing. And then GDPR hit. GDPR hit and they had a problem because it was now against the GDPR privacy rules to publish information about EU citizens without their specific consent. They have to opt in. The problem is that for the past 30 or 40 years, nobody was keeping track of what country you have citizenship in the Whois registry. You just give them an address and it works. You get the domain. So what they did was, instead of deleting all the data, they mask it. They still have the data, the registrars, but they don't let you see it in most cases. What we can do though is play a guessing game. Like we can guess that a domain might be registered with a certain email or name, and then they'll tell us, hey, yeah, that domain was registered with this registrar on that date, because that's not sensitive. I've guessed the sensitive part. Let's see how this plays out. Let's go to one of my favorite sites, viewdns.info. It has this reverse Whois lookup. We're going to look up John Doe at example.com. John Doe is associated with this record, yourdomainoftest.com, and it was created in 2018 at that registrar. That's not very interesting. The interesting thing that we can do here is we can look at a whole bunch of people that have maybe registered a domain. We can use wildcards like asterisks to search for. I don't even know if this will work. Let's just see at psu.edu. Hey, there's 1,081 domains that are registered. Now this tool is only going to give me the first 500 for free. But take a look at this. We have all these different domains that are somehow registered with an at psu.edu email address. We don't know who at psu.edu registered it, but we know it's attributable to somebody. Now, we could go ahead and look through this. I think you probably can figure out who owns some of these domains because, well, Alex Heppelman, Alex Ramirez blog, Alice Kelsey, it's in the domain name, right? Let's go ahead, instead of using at psu.edu, let's use Apple. Now, Apple has a whole bunch of domains, and I want to show you a little data analysis like cool thing that I've been doing. We're going to take all 500 of these entries and graph them to see interesting patterns. We're going to do that using some free tools. The first free tool is called Instant Data Scraper. That's this little Pokeball thing over here. Okay, this little Pokeball is Instant Data Scraper. It's a Google Chrome plugin, and it looks for HTML tables. Any place there's an HTML table, it will extract that data and save it locally to your system as a CSV. Now remember, this is only the first 500 rows. We're going to save that as a CSV. You can see that it's collected the domain name, creation date, and registrar. And we see that right here. Now, if you were doing this in real life, you'd still have to get those 11,500 other domains for Apple. And for that, you could use the API or some other way. Now, we have a CSV with 500 entries that have domain name, date it was registered, and the registrar. Let's go ahead and see if we can make those mash up using a free tool from my buddy OSINT Combine, Chris Poulter. This is on OSINT Combine's website. We're going to use this data visualization tool, which he keeps improving, and I love it. We're going to load up a CSV, and that CSV is that one that I just used. And then watch what happens. See, what I know from being in the corporate world is that many times organizations have registrars that they use and they have relationships with. So Apple probably has one company that it makes all of its normal corporate domains, that registers all its normal corporate domains with, right? You can see that. That's probably that big bright spot right here in the middle. And if we zoom in here, we can see that this site, let's see if we can do more link separation. There we go. CSC Corporate Domains Incorporated seems to have a lot of domains related to it, right? A lot of domains are connected to it. If we come up here, we see another one, but this is just CSC Corporate Domains with no incorporated. Sometimes people will forget to put the INC. This is probably the same company. If we look up here, we see, oh, look, this date, a whole bunch of websites were actually registered or created in October 2013. And that's all of these sites. All of these sites right here. And we could zoom in and see what they are and why they're important. But let's go ahead and do long tail analysis. Instead of looking at the most frequently grouped things that are probably official corporate domains, let's look at the edges and let's look for things that are less connected. So let's see if this works. Ta-da-ta-da. Aha, here's a GoDaddy.com. Now we saw that CSE corporate domain is probably what Apple.com has their main contract with, right? And we see these Apple type of AirPods and stuff like that, third-party test WebKit that are official domains. But look over here, we have GoDaddy. And look at this. Can y'all read that domain? That doesn't look like an official Apple.com domain, right? But somebody with an apple.com email address registered that domain. Is it Adam or is it Kirsten? I don't know. But we can actually find this stuff out just by looking at the data and seeing how it all connects together. We find this outlier. You can do this with the Department of Homeland Security, DHS.gov. You can do it with any email address domain around the world. And you can find people that are using their personal, people that are using their business emails, their work emails for personal gain. Interesting, right? I think it's interesting, and this is all free stuff. Cool. Well, I think I've taken up enough of your time. So wrapping it up, you know about OSINT Curious, go there, do stuff. If you want more of this information, I do teach a class. I have to tell you that we've got online classes coming up that anybody can attend. And here is my information. If you didn't have time, because Adam was monopolizing the chat here, and you didn't have time to put in your questions, or I didn't actually answer it, please go ahead and send me an email or visit these other websites. Also, next is Layer 8. Next week is Layer 8, where Ray, myself, and other people are teaching an OSINT class, a whole one-day OSINT class. I think it's like $500 or so for a whole day of OSINT. And then the next day is the Layer 8 conference, all about open source intelligence. All right, Ray, I think I'm done. Do we have any questions? Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Not you then. the general we. Nope.
Anybody? Nope.
Cool.
What is your favorite OSINT tool? There you go.
I hate it when people ask that.
It was Adam. Go figure.
Yeah, go figure. Honestly, Adam, I consider myself a consultant, so I use whatever I need to. Today I was looking up people and doing a lot of social media, so I was using certain tools like Hunchly to record stuff, but there's other days I'm looking up domains and IPs, in which case, using something like DNS Twister or using DNS Recon or some other tool might be good. It just depends on what the work demands. And yeah, your brain, my brain. Okay. Well, Dylan, if you're still too new to really ask, just watch some of those videos. They're 10 minutes long. The 10-minute tips on OSINT Cures, 10 minutes long. Some of them do exactly what I just did. Watch the videos, and then I think this weekend, Ray, we're recording our webcast, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So come and hang out with us. We do a Zoom webinar on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And you can come and we record an actual webcast. It's an hour-long thing. You bring beer if you want it, or hot dogs or whatever, and we talk about OSINT. Yep, and we talk. Cool.
Cool. No, we don't tag the beer on Untapped.
Absolutely tag the beer on Untapped.
All right, well, if nobody else has any questions, we can end here. Thank you very much, Micah, for joining us. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. And I almost said stay OSINT curious because I've said it so many times.
Say it. You can
stay OSINT curious.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, everybody.